Hello, beautiful alchemist. Welcome to Reiki Radio. I am your host, Yolanda, and today we have an incredible episode. We are going to sit down with someone I met a few years back. She and I have actually had the pleasure of co hosting the Reiki Rays Global Healing Summit together over the last few years. And her name is Heather McCutcheon, and she is the founder of the Reiki Brigade. So, Heather is here today to tell us more about her work, which I have been looking forward to for so long because her work is incredible. I don't know that many people are doing what she's doing out there in the world with Reiki. Just to give you a little hint of it, she does volunteer work. She and 30 other volunteers doing Reiki for the Chicago Police Department, amongst other things that she does. So her story is very inspiring. And it also points to just never knowing where your path is going to lead. So I'm very excited to share this conversation with you. If you want to learn more about Heather and her work, visit reikibrigade.org. I encourage you to follow her on social media at Reiki Brigade, just because after hearing this conversation, you will see why sharing her work is so important and so supportive for all of us and can be for many more communities. So I would say grab a tissue because a lot of what Heather says, I mean, I felt like throughout the whole conversation, I was on the verge of tears. I mean, her story is absolutely incredible and very inspiring. And Heather and I will be joining each other again to co host the Reiki Mastery Weekend, which takes place May 3rd and 4th. So if you've not heard of this, we will tell you a little bit about it. It actually begins on May 2nd, which is a Friday. And on that Friday, it is a free introduction to the Reiki Mastery Weekend. And you don't have to have a ticket to participate in the Friday night event. However, if you want to participate in the Reiki Mastery Weekend, that takes place on May 3rd and 4th. Heather will be facilitating the event on the 3rd, which is Saturday, and I will be facilitating on Sunday, which is the 4th. And there are so many teachers that you will get to learn from. So we'll tell you more about it in this episode. But if you want to join the Reiki Mastery Weekend, be sure to use the link down in the show description. So that is all for now, my loves. Enjoy this episode, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, everyone, we are here today with Heather McCutcheon of the Reiki Brigade. You will recognize her from, we've done work together the last few years, co-hosting the Reiki Rays Global Reiki Healing Summit. But her work is incredible. So I just want to thank you for being here today, Heather.
I am so excited to be here finally on your show.
Finally,
Your Renowned Reiki Radio
honey,
show.
I have been waiting for this.
Exciting.
I'm so excited. And so I'm very excited because I mention you actually quite a bit when I do interviews and people ask me about, I don't know, like what's going on in the world of Reiki. I always mention the work that you're doing. And so, just as a little teaser for everyone, Heather has an incredible organization that, in part, focuses a lot on providing Reiki for Chicago police force. And we're going to get into it. But before we jump into your work, I just wanted to ask you if you're excited about the upcoming Reiki Mastery Weekend that we get to co-host together.
Yolanda, I'm really excited about it. As you mentioned, we have been co-hosting the Reiki Rays Summit for a
Yes.
couple of years now, which is an incredible array of masters and experts from around the world talking about Reiki.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible resource for people to learn.
Yeah.
But this is going to be happening live. So one of my favorite parts of the summit, when we're interviewing people, and of course they have a topic and something that they want to share with people, and it's largely informational and educational.
Yes.
But whenever they start talking about a technique, I always kind of push, can we try that? Can we demonstrate that? Can we get a little sample of that? And I've been fortunate that people have been game to give it a try,
Yeah.
to do the meditation or the guided thing or the calling in of the angels or whatever the thing is, so people can get a little sample of it.
Yes.
And with this mastery weekend, that's all it's going to be. It's going to be experiential.
Yes.
So it's like taking a class live with these phenomenal people that you would not ordinarily have access to. So you and I are going to learn stuff. We're going to be right there
Yeah.
with them,
I know. I can't
practicing these
believe it.
techniques.
I think it's such a great addition to what they already, what Reiki Raise, what they put on with the Global Healing Summit, because you're 100% right. With so many of us, one, a lot of times we don't have access to these teachers otherwise, but the getting to actually try and be guided into these different techniques that we hear so much about, it's going to be incredible. Like, I'm so excited to see how it goes. So could you just share with everyone what we have set up, what it is they'll be invited to, and the dates?
Yeah, so it's starting with a little introductory, and the Friday session, Friday evening session is free. So Helene Williams is going to be there with us, doing kind of a preparatory introductory session. We're going to do some exercises with her. I'm sure there's going to be some meditation and just calling in that energy and just getting set for the weekend ahead. So that's on Friday evening, and that's open to anyone. And people who have paid for the Mastery Weekend, starting on Saturday, we're going to have Colleen and Robin Benelli, whom we've had on the summit several times, and they're
Yes.
fantastic. And they're going to be doing Reiki journey techniques to reveal your next steps. And I personally love that. Shamanic journeying is so compelling to me,
I
and
know.
I feel like it dovetails so well with Reiki. And they're going to be talking to us about what a Reiki journey is versus a shamanic journey, and we're all going to get to experience that with the goal of what are your next steps with your Reiki practice.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to hear from them on that and get to have that experience with them. And then after that, we've got Torsten Lang out of London, who's phenomenal, has written a book that has come out with Hay House and is doing some research with regards to Reiki. He's doing a lot of phenomenal things. And the name of his session is Intuitive Reiki, Tools and Techniques from the Original Japanese Teaching. So he's got a series of exercises that he's going to show us that people may not have been exposed to.
Yes.
They have Japanese names. I'm not sure if I learned them under the English version. Some of them were familiar, some of them were not familiar. But just here's some extra techniques that you can add into your practice, see what resonates with you. So I'm excited to hear from him and try all of those. And then I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing, I do not know these people, Mark Hosick and Eileen Weissman. I'm sure you're familiar with them.
I interviewed them on the summit once. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing Unlocking the Hidden Power of Reiki Symbols, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Transformation. So they're going to be doing a deep dive into the symbols. And so that's the Saturday lineup.
Wait,
And
I
I'm,
have to say, Heather, because just so everyone knows, Heather will be co-hosting Saturday and I will on Sunday, but I'm definitely popping into your session because that sounds so good. I'm glad I get to have my notebook and just kind of take it all in.
yeah, Yolanda, as long as you and I have been doing Reiki and as many people as you have been able to talk to, all the experts that you've talked to over the years that you've been
Yeah.
hosting your podcast, there's still something to learn in every session. And if you
Yes.
want to continue to expand and grow and try new things, and again, a lot of it is, this is how I'm doing it. But oh, this really resonates with me. I'm going to incorporate that. And maybe
Right.
not everything does, but I learn something every time. I'm sure you learn something every time.
Yes.
So that's the Saturday lineup, and I'm going to be moderating, kind of hosting those sessions. And then you're on Sunday
Yes.
with Franz Dina,
Hmm.
who many people I'm sure know of, who's done such phenomenal work bringing the original Reiki teachings in his books and teaching classes and mastery classes. He travels around, and you may have had the opportunity to have him in your town. If not, you're going to have him on Sunday, May 4th.
Yes.
Um, so his session is the voice of Reiki, chanting and mantras for inner transformation. So chanting is something that I was actually introduced to via Franz. I took his mastery class when he came through town. Having been a Reiki master for a long time, I took his class, learned about chanting, something
Yes.
new, which I now have incorporated into my practice and teach in my classes. So wonderful to do that along with him and as a group with everyone there.
Yeah.
That'll be really great. And then you have the lovely Parita Shah in the
Hmm.
second session on Sunday, reading chakra energy, intuitively translating your consciousness. So she's going to do a deep dive into the chakras, and she always is so practical and
Yeah.
has such great tools and information and ways to apply things that just it's just so professional and so task oriented. Like, here's what we're going
Yes.
to do. She's
Yes,
so
she is very
organized.
structured. Yes, she is.
Yes. And I love it. And then Ellen Malloy, who I got to interview at the last summit, who is incredibly intuitive and communicates with angels. So she's doing Reiki with angels, practices to activate higher healing frequencies. So you'll be doing some exercises with her to tap into that into that energy.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that is definitely one to tune in for.
Yes.
And I will say too, in terms of getting to practice this along with people, in the 15 years that I've been taking classes, Reiki classes, Akashic record classes, intuition classes, shamanic classes, in my experience, when you're there with the person who is the expert,
Yeah.
you really can get a lot. You can really tap into that energy while
Yes.
you're there doing it with them. So these are opportunities to have a higher experience than reading the instructions or following the instructions and diving in yourself.
It's true.
It's a communal energy, and you can tap into what they have. I mean, it almost sounds like a what's the whatever universe, super friends, whatever those universes are, where you can everybody has their superpower.
Yeah.
But when you are in their presence, you can access that. So that's really exciting to have access to these people, for this live experience with them.
Yeah, and I think it's, a lot of people I know after the summits have even said, sometimes they wish that there would be more exercises or that they can try certain things that are offered. And it is wonderful. Even with the summits, like a lot of times there are, downloadable meditations and PDFs and things where it gives you an opportunity to practice on your own. But this is going to be the first of the Reiki Mastery Weekend. So yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see
Yep.
what it's
Reiki,
like.
Reiki Rays up in their game and bringing more to the Reiki community. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful to them for taking the lead and gathering these people together, and so thrilled to participate, and always a pleasure to partner with you to bring forth these
Yes.
offerings to the Reiki world. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting.
I think we're really lucky to be able to be a part of it. And I just want to clarify, I believe this is true. This is live and not recorded. So if you want to attend, you want to make sure that you are there for the live event. So take note of the times that each teacher will start so that you have it. Just set aside the dates and times. It's May 2nd to the 4th.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in with the live experience, the ability to ask questions
Yes.
and interact directly,
Mhm.
which we don't have with the pre-recorded. You can always go back and listen again.
Yeah.
But in this instance, if there's something, burning questions, you can, raise your hand and write it in the comments, and we will bring it forth, and you'll get an answer on the spot. So
Yes.
that's a
Yes.
new experience as well.
I know it's incredible. So, of course, we will have the link for you down in the show description so that you can register and join us for the Reiki Mastery Weekend. It's the first weekend in May. But I also want to make sure, like I mentioned, I have had the opportunity to work with you for the last couple of years. And every time we do the summit, we also interview each other. So I've learned a lot about your work, and I couldn't wait to get you on here so we could just talk freely. I just want to know so much. And I mentioned you have the Reiki Brigade, but you focus a lot on underserved communities and the people that are working up to serve, which is incredible in of itself. But I want to back up a little bit because I was reading your bio and I was like, wait a minute. So she started working in an advertising agency and then was led into massage and now she's doing Reiki for the police department. So yeah. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your background in terms of what guided you forward to where you are now. But have you always had this calling to do some form of outreach? Because it seems like so a part of who you are to really want to serve in this way.
It's funny. People ask me, I have clients or people that I meet and they're like, how did you get into that? And my response is always kicking and screaming. I absolutely did not feel called to this in any way, shape, or form. I
Yeah.
was introduced to Reiki a number of times and it didn't stick. And the people who, presented it to me the first couple times, I was like, oh, that doesn't sound right. That's weird. I don't know what you're thinking. That can't be real, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then I I left my job in corporate America to go to massage school. I actually broke both my legs. I had injuries in both my legs. I had casts on both my legs, and playing rugby, so whole
Wow.
thing. Um, and I went to rehab, a sports rehab facility. And after having been in advertising for several years, have a degree in English, went into advertising, and it pays well. And I love being creative, but it's a soul-sucking industry, especially in a
Mm.
large competitive city like Chicago. I am not built for office politics. I am not built for the backstabbery and the egos and everything that went on in that industry. And when
Mm.
I hurt myself in rugby and I went to the sports rehab facility, when I walked in the door and there were all these different stations with people in shorts and t-shirts helping people rehab from their injuries and all these thank you notes on the walls and everybody's just smiling and so grateful on the way out the door, it just hit me like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of work that I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
helping people. So I marched in, I took out a second mortgage on my condo and I marched into my boss's office and I quit my job and I went to massage therapy school. And
Wow.
there was my joke is you have to go meet with the administrator like an interview before you actually register. I march in there with my check for like I don't know, it was like $16,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he asked, "Where do you get your massages?" And I was like, "Well, I've never had a massage in my life."
Oh, wow.
Already quit my job. Like I just knew. I just totally knew.
Yeah.
And so I had to go get a massage, easy hurdle. Got a massage. That was lovely. This is what I'd like to do for a living.
Right.
And I went back. I went to massage school. It was 16 months long. Anatomy, physiology, cell physiology, body mechanics, kinds of stuff people are going to come in with and need help with,
Right.
need massages for. It was fabulous. I loved every second of it. And I just knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Just I knew like that knowing. I knew. And I have not looked back. And of course, everybody was like, "Are you crazy? You had this great job. You jumped out of a perfectly good airplane." Financially, it
Yeah.
has not been glorious. It was a
Right.
huge pay cut, and being self-employed is challenging. And you gotta hustle and get clients and do all the marketing and do all the things. But they did teach us about Eastern philosophy and energetic modalities. There was a 3-day section in the middle of my 16-month program where they talked about energy. And we did that exercise where you rub your hands
Oh,
together
yeah.
and you do the energy ball. And I was looking around the room. I didn't feel anything. And I'm looking around the room and everyone's doing this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I quit my job. People are all crazy. And that's, like I had multiple opportunities to learn about this and latch onto it. And it did not take.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a massage therapist, I in close proximity with people and just tuning into them. And I wouldn't even know consciously that I had done that.
Yeah.
But this person is here and I want to help them. And I started to have experiences where I could feel people's physical pain in my body.
Yes.
I had experiences, I had a panic attack at one point. Someone had been very traumatized, and I had a panic attack
Wow.
just with my hands on them. And I scrolled back to that class that I frankly pouted through this 3-day class. I'm
Yeah.
not participating. This is ridiculous. I'm going to be a massage therapist. People are going to come in with tight muscles. I'm going to squish them. They're going to leave feeling better. End of discussion. But like 5 years in, I'm like, what did they say? What did they say? What did they say? And they were talking about, just open the bottoms of your feet, let the energy flow
Mm.
through. You don't have to take that on. And I did that and I stopped having my panic attacks and my things. And it was still several more years because I was very, very slow on the uptake
Yeah.
before I realized this is a way I can help people. We are made of energy. Our energy, in terms of quantum mechanics, we are intermingling at all times. I can use my intention to help people. It took years for me to figure this out and incorporate this as a means to help people on my table. And as soon as I did, and the reason I did was because my life took a nosedive and everything went haywire. And I did not think I was going to make it through.
Wow.
And people put their, like strangers, once at a place where I was learning meditation, they put their hands on me briefly and I left there floating on air. I
Yeah.
had come in traumatized. I left feeling amazing. And then another time in a yoga class, again, mind chatter, stress, tight knot in my chest. 5 minutes later, floating. The world is a magical place.
Yeah.
And I was like, even just driving home, that was incredible. How did that happen? How did that person do that? Can other people do that? Can I do that? And if so, why isn't everyone doing that for everyone?
Yes.
Because I was at my wit's end and then I felt fantastic. And certainly there are people in the world, veterans with PTSD, all the populations that we've targeted with the Reiki Brigade who are having incredibly stressful lives, jobs, circumstances that could really use a few minutes of touch and then feeling a lot better. And so that is what we do as the Reiki Brigade. It started small, it's grown. I'm so grateful to have loving, generous souls who come and join me on this mission and are so enthusiastic. Take days off work, hire babysitters, drive hours in the car to come and help us work on these populations who really, really could use some support.
Hmm.
And the communities that we serve are so incredibly grateful. And the feedback that we get is life-giving. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in these times, Yolanda, when people are so stressed out with the politics and the environment and all the things.
Yeah.
But what I hear and what I see so often is what can I do? What can I do? And what I know is on Wednesday, we're going out to the Deerfield Police Department to give Reiki to them, and it's going to help tremendously. And I focus on that and I look towards that. And it helps me with my mental health to know that we're doing what we can.
Oh my goodness. There's so many things where there's two things I have to ask you about this, Heather. And you can see why everyone listening, why I was so excited to have her on the podcast because her work is just, it's mind blowing to me. And I love hearing about what you do and the ways that you are sharing Reiki in the world. But one of the things you highlight, I think, is so important for a lot of us to recognize is it doesn't take much because a lot of times people think they have to have like an hour in order for it to be effective. And you mentioned in your own story, like they laid their hands on you for 5 minutes. And then with the officers, how long do you all get to spend with each of them? And could you even share a little bit of, do the officers share with you what the effects are, what they experience in the shorter sessions?
Yeah, so we give 10-minute sessions,
Hmm.
and that is what I have kind of figured out is the minimum amount of time that someone can have, you know, and it can have an impact
Yeah.
on people. But it's also not too much time to take away from their desk because we're almost always at people's work. So you
Okay.
can't just have people for half an hour or for an hour. These are brief breaks in their
Yes.
day, but tremendously impactful.
Right.
So we had done about 5,000 sessions over many years before I decided I wanted a better way of tracking what the impact was because somebody has invited us to come, or I
Yeah.
have banged on their door and said, please let us come.
Hmm.
And afterwards, I want to report back to them, this is what we did for your team today. You can see the benefits because we're there hearing all this fabulous stuff. But unless those individuals go and talk to their boss, that the person who invited us is not getting the full picture. I'm saying we got a lot of great feedback. We worked on 43 people. It's not as impactful as the numbers and the comments. So we started using before and after surveys, scale of 1 to 10, Wong Baker scale. It has the smiley face, frowny face to smiley face.
Hmm.
So we say, how are you feeling right now in terms of stress? How are you feeling right now in terms of your body? Is anything hurting you? And then we set that aside and we give them Reiki. And then we pull it back out at the end. We say first, how are you feeling? Or how did that go? Just an open-ended question.
Yeah.
And they will say the first words out of their mouth are going to be the most impactful.
Hmm.
And they say things like, I mean, incredible things like, I felt unconditional love like I haven't felt since my grandmother died because she
Yeah.
raised me. And people in tears happen sometimes. People say, I can't believe that. Incredulity is very common.
Hmm.
Why are you here today? Oh, my friend said I had to come. I think this is weird. I don't really know what's happening. And 10 minutes later, holy crap, that was amazing. I
Yeah.
feel phenomenal. I feel weight lifted off my shoulder. I feel lighter. I saw colors. We should take my heart rate now. All these things that people say.
Yeah.
And then we say, now tell me how you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of stress. How do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of pain? And so after I would put that information together and make an infographic with an arrow. The stress, collectively went from here, 5.43 down to 1.97 for
Yeah.
your group. And there's less pain because we pick the groups based on the stress that they're under. So not everyone is in pain, but
Right.
anyone who's under a tremendous amount of stress often has physical pain and they are often related to each other. So all the numbers always go down. To what extent they go down depends largely on the groups. Vets with PTSD are in big trouble in terms of both physical pain and psychological, stress things.
Yeah.
Their numbers start very high and they go very low. If we go to just an average business place, it's a lower reduction. It's a less of a reduction, but it still all moves down. And then I also include some of the top comments that we get. So we did that for a long time. And I had, just this enormous box full of these forms. And then Natalie Dyer, who has been a guest on the summit, I interviewed her and we chatted a bit. And she said, why don't you publish the results of that? And I was like, well, I guess I had been under the impression that I know when you're working with human subjects, you need to have an IRB approve your work. And I thought it had to be for one institution, whereas we're all over the place, working with the VA, working with the police departments, working with, at-risk kids. And she said, no, 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 there's organizations that will do that. Well, it turns out they cost money and we didn't have money,
Yeah.
but we did manage to team up with Northeastern Illinois University that has their own IRB. And we are in the process, the paper's written and
Wow.
we submitted our abstract and then have been invited to submit the paper to a journal. And I'm very excited that they might publish it. They still have to approve that. But we're in the process of getting results published for 1,724 participants, which would be the largest Reiki study, in terms of just volume. Over, I can't remember. It's sometime in like September of 2022 up until December of 2024. 1,724 Reiki sessions we've given and the results. And the numbers, I mean, I hadn't really ever calculated this part, but the difference between the drop in stress was 72%, and the drop in
Wow.
pain was 63% over 1,700 people.
Right.
So it's significant in just 10 minutes.
Well, that part, just 10 minutes, but I can't help but wonder, does this blow your mind? I mean, to even recognize, like now, all of a sudden, you have this opportunity to publish a study coming from someone who was, I don't know what's worse than skeptical. Like you were just like, get this crap away from me. So
I was having
now,
none of it. I was having none
none.
of it.
None. And now you're working with the police department, veterans, at-risk youth. I mean, it's does that blow your mind sometimes when you sit back and look at what you're actually doing with this work now?
Well, I chuckle over it because that this ended up being my calling, and I think of it as nothing less than that. But I
Yeah.
think it's appropriate because I had that level of skepticism that I can address that level of skepticism effectively when I approach these people because it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not like I went to the police department and said, "Hey, I have this great thing," and they welcomed me with open arms. It took
Right.
years to get to where they are excited to have us and, you know, and every new place I approach, but it's getting easier and easier because we now have this phenomenal resume and long list of groups that we've worked with. And, all of these infographics and
Yeah.
pictures of us working with people in uniform.
Right.
Um, I was very fortunate to be invited to the 100 Club, is a group that works towards wellness for first responders everywhere. I believe it's national.
Hmm.
So there's an Illinois chapter here, and they do a convention annually. And the first year, the Chicago Police Department said to me, "You should go to that convention." So I called them up and I said, "Hey, can we come do our thing?" And they said, "No."
Oh,
And then the next year, the police department said, "You should go to this frontline convention." And I called them up and I said, "Hey, can we come do our thing at your convention?" And they said, "No." And then we were at the fire department at a wellness day for firefighters and EMTs. And right in the booth right next door was the executive director of the 100 Club in Illinois. And she said, "Hey, we have this conference coming up. I'd
stop.
love it if you would come." And I said, "I'll think about it." No. I said, "No, we would love to come." And she said, "Fill out a speaker schedule." So this was in March, and I was a breakout speaker at their conference for mental health for first responders throughout the state of Illinois. More than 450 people came.
Yeah.
And the difference here, Yolanda, I cannot express how wonderful it was to be among an enormous group of people, all with the same goal and all with the same knowledge
Yeah.
that these jobs are incredibly stressful and it's detrimental for the well-being of those individuals. And when those individuals' well-being is jeopardized, it impacts their ability to do their job,
Right.
which impacts all of our safety.
Yeah.
Everyone was very focused and you know it was just incredible. Every conversation I had, I was just in sync with everyone, and that has never happened before in a huge group of
Yeah.
people. So I had a room of people listening. I gave this presentation. They loved it. We didn't give Reiki to anyone for the first 2.5 hours. I went and gave my talk. By the time I came back, there was a line out the door. We gave Reiki to
Stop.
92 people.
Wow.
92 people instantly invited back for next year and 6 invitations. So going to Schaumburg Police Department, going to the Deerfield Police Department, invited to other conferences as a result of that. So we're at a really exciting time where doors are getting flung open, and I've managed to connect with a lot of decision makers and leaders who are so focused on the well-being of these first responders. And I mean, it's taken 15 years, but
I
here
feel
we
like you need to be on the news talking about this, Heather. How do we get you on on
we've
the
been on
news?
we were on WGN actually last year
Yeah, but I feel like
locally.
yeah, but
TED Talk,
nationally,
TED
yes,
Talk,
yes,
TED Talk.
yes. That's what you should do. Because really, truly, there's a lot of talk in this community about Reiki now being available in some hospitals and hospice, which is incredible. But if you haven't been able to hear Heather at the Global Reiki Summit, her passion for this, I know you can hear it right now, but she is just even thinking about that. I think this is such a beautiful message for people. You didn't just get a no and then give up. Like you kept knocking on doors. And the other thing I would love for you to share, because during one of the summits, you actually put together so much material to help people who want to do the same in their own cities. So I wanted to ask you about that. Anyone that's listening right now that's like, oh my gosh, Heather, this is incredible what you're doing. How can I do this where I live? Do you still have some way of like information available to people, or is the Reiki Brigade going to branch out somehow?
We would love to branch out. Finances are still an issue. We did this for free for much longer than we should have. And so now trying to get the financial end of it under control such that it's sustainable, such that as we amp up the number of events we have, we have 30 people right now. Our team is 30 strong,
Right,
but many of them have full-time jobs. So if we start doing events, every week or two, twice a week, I need to make sure people show up, which means I
right.
have to, hopefully start paying them.
Yeah,
And of course I would like to get paid, which we incorporated in 2023 finally,
yeah,
and have been able to get a couple small grants to do
yes.
this work. But it's difficult to step into a financial model when you've been doing it for free for so long, and
Right.
when people still don't quite know what it is. But I feel like we're at a tipping point with that as well.
Mhm.
So as soon as I get a handle on that, I would love to franchise. In the meantime, I did put together a little self-guided course, and I think it's $79, but included in it, you get artwork for a poster and handouts, etc. So there's materials there that you would have to pay a designer for
Right.
that you can use. And it includes a video, it includes lists of what to bring, um, a whole thing about best practices, a whole article I wrote for Massage and Bodywork magazine about working with vets with PTSD, working with people with PTSD, and how to best approach that. So there's a lot of valuable information in there if you want to do the kind of work that we do. That said, it is not easy. Getting through the door is the hard part. And certainly if if your brother-in-law is the chief of police, that would be hopefully easy.
Yeah.
My brother was a chief of police here in Illinois. That was not helpful for me. He did not want anything to do with it. So maybe it'll be helpful, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Um, but you do still have to do the legwork and bang on doors. And it's easier now than it was before because more people know what Reiki is.
Right.
You know, in our work with the police department, we've come across people who have told us they're on the down low Reiki masters
Oh,
who
wow.
are a sergeant at the police department. And so they're out there, and I feel like some of this is giving them permission. Like now 40 of their coworkers have received Reiki and think Reiki is awesome. Now they can mention that, and that's like a gold star for them instead
Right.
of being shunned for that. So that's a fun part of it too. And I do want to mention um, there's a letter. If you go to, I'll give you the link to where the class is.
Okay.
And there's even if you don't sign up for the class, there's a letter that you can use to introduce yourself. And I think it's a PDF, and there are links there to some of these videos of people giving feedback with some pictures of us doing our work. So you would never say, I'm part of the Reiki Brigade and the Reiki Brigade wants to come to, wherever, Dover, Massachusetts Police Department.
Right.
But you could say, the Reiki Brigade is doing this work in Chicago and I would like to create something similar here
Right.
as, Shauna's Reiki practice to
Yeah.
come and serve Dover, Massachusetts Police Department. And here's a video of what this looks like because there's feedback from people, veterans and I don't think there's any cops. Veterans and medical students are in the one video. But there's a starting point for you to reach out to people. And then if you want more information and you want the artwork, go ahead and get the class, watch the video, pull up the lists, go through all the material and go to town. And I would love to hear back and hear how it's going for you.
No wonder you're so busy, Heather, because I know I know personally that you are so busy. And I knew that you were working with the police department and the veterans, but you also mentioned earlier that you all are even reaching out to support at-risk youth. So are you all working with children who are in the system, who are in certain programs associated with schools? How can people potentially do that work?
Again, that's going to be who you know.
Yeah.
We have done programs inside the juvenile detention center for
Mhm.
kids that are incarcerated. We work with a number of groups in Chicago that are serving at-risk kids. Just there's a lot of gang activity here, and
Yeah.
there's after-school programs. There's a group we work with called Boxing Out Negativity, and the guy teaches kids to box, and he takes them out of state to competitions, and they do this kind of take back the streets bike ride twice a year. That there's hundreds of people there
Wow.
in these, very dangerous neighborhoods, riding through the streets with police escorts, taking back the streets. And he organizes all of this. He has cookouts outside his boxing ring for the kids to come. He just builds community and he teaches them how to meditate. And we taught Reiki to his staff.
Wow.
So we love working with him. We also work with this phenomenal organization called the Institute for Nonviolence Chicago, which is former gang members and social workers who work together to offer cognitive behavioral therapy to each other and out in the street. And when there's a shooting, they literally get down there and intervene and try and prevent retaliatory shooting. They'll be
Wow.
at the hospital. They'll meet with the family. They'll meet with the other gang members. Okay, everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down with their new skills that they have. And we've offered their staff Reiki for a couple of years now. They just put out their end of year report. They're an enormous organization and they've had attention from, I'm going to forget what the title is, but like district attorney people have come and gathered and show us what you're doing. Like their numbers
Wow.
are phenomenal. And their annual report just came out, and there's a picture of us in there giving them Reiki as their partner. They also do a reentry program, which is guys coming out of incarceration.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do? And I say, guys, it's women also. And we've been able to offer them Reiki as well. And we taught some of their staff Reiki. The Institute for Nonviolence, some of their staff took our Reiki class. And the next time we came to one of their employee wellness events, they told us that they had gone to work with one of their partner organizations, which is a senior retirement home. And they did a barbecue there, just, community thing. And the people that we trained gave Reiki to those seniors and they loved it. And when are you coming back to give us more Reiki? And that was like a dream for me because I've
Yeah.
always pictured this as like a Johnny Appleseed kind of thing. Like, come find out about it, learn it, and then you go do it. Like,
Right.
everybody go and do it.
Yeah.
So for them to come back just like 3 months after they took the class and say that they were already sharing with this other organization who loved it. And so they're now getting the gratitude. They're now getting the wonderful sense of purpose. And these seniors are having this phenomenal experience. I have a vision where, seniors maybe are bored. Reiki doesn't
Yeah.
take a lot of physical exertion. Let's train
Right.
them all up.
Yes.
File the police officers through there. Come on, everybody. Like I have all these plans, Yolanda.
Well, listen, if anyone is going to get it done, it is going to be you. I mean, it really is phenomenal, like how, um, not that you just stuck with it, kept knocking on the doors, but the way that it has grown over the years. I mean, I think even I've only known you a few years, and it has grown so much in the short period of time that I have known of you and your work. And I just want to point this out too. Truly, if anyone is listening and knows how to get Heather on TED Talk, please reach out to her, make it happen
Move over,
because,
Brene.
yes, seriously, this is, you absolutely should. But I also want to share with everyone listening how anyone can help. So, we will put the link for people who are interested in taking the class or, learning more about how to start something similar in their own community. But for other people who just want to help you in these efforts, what are the options available?
Several. Obviously, we accept donations. For $175, you can sponsor someone to come take our class, and you can even pick who you would like to sponsor, whether it's going to be an at-risk kid, whether it's going to be a veteran, whether it's going to be a first responder. You make the donation, you shoot me an email, and I will make sure that that person gets to take that class.
Yeah.
You could sponsor an event. So I can give you the link also for our make a donation page. But also, what I tell my volunteers is that when we're at a site, we can introduce Reiki to, 20 or 40 or 60, or in the case of a larger conference, 100 or more people. Um, Via social media, we can introduce it to millions of people. So we
Yes.
do have social media channels. We have Facebook and Instagram. I'm cranking up LinkedIn right now, and that's where I've made a lot of the wonderful connections with the people working in first responder wellness. If you come support those pages so they get more visibility,
Okay.
that just really helps us get the word out.
Yes.
Um,
Well, there's two things. So I do know right away, everyone listening, you can go to Heather's page on Instagram at Reiki Brigade. But the other pages you're mentioning, please tell me or send them to me so I can put them down in the show description because this really is, I mean, it's so inspiring, but I mean, it's incredible work. And to your point, it's so needed in these times, but especially for people that have such high stress that often
yeah.
have to repress it. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't think that much about how much people who are showing up to be civil servants and first responders and these sorts of jobs, how much they're having to repress and how much weight they're taking home every day.
Yolanda, we've had more than 3 suicides this year
Wow.
among Chicago police officers. It is,
Wow.
it is, it's a horrendous. I mean, when you think about the gift that we have, our job is working with Reiki. What
Yeah.
an incredible gift. You're the highlight of someone's week. When
Hmm.
you're a police officer, you're coming to witness possibly the worst thing that's ever happened to them in their life,
Right.
several times a day.
Yeah.
And overlooked, our first responder system has 3 branches. We have police, fire, and 911, the call center.
Right.
think the call center is often overlooked. Like they're
Right.
not out there hands-on,
But
but
they're
they're
getting,
taking the calls and someone is, oh my God, there's blood and blah, and run, hurry, hurry, someone's dying.
yeah,
It's incredibly stressful to do that for 8 hours a day. We, for the first time, got to go over to OEMC, which is the Office of Emergency Management Communications, our 911 center, and work on them. And they were so grateful. Just to think that if it's easy for you to imagine, I think, what your experience would be if you had to call 911 in case of an emergency, but I
yeah,
don't think people think about what it's like to be on the other end of the phone and can you imagine if that person is impaired because of the trauma? If they are
right.
triggered and not able to think clearly or perform with the response time that's needed,
Yeah,
how dangerous that is for all of us.
right.
So,
And the fact again that I mean, they're getting those calls back to back to
yep,
back.
yep. I
Wow.
can't imagine. I can't imagine. And I console myself that I feel like I mentioned earlier that this is my calling. And I hope that those people feel that it's their calling and they
Yes.
have the skill sets and the drive and the tenacity
Yeah.
to handle that job. But still, support is more than welcome.
There's someone I know here. I've told you about her before, but she's very interested in what you do, and she's in a position to potentially be able to support the same type of integration here in San Diego. And I'm so excited we're having this conversation now because I can share with her and she can hear exactly from your mouth what it is that you do and how this is all working. I mean, it is really incredible what you're doing, Heather. And, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm like on the verge of like, I want to say thank you. I want to cry, like all the things. This is like,
Well,
wow.
obviously, I'm very passionate about it. I get
Yes.
very get very emotional talking about it myself. And I
Yeah.
just want to reiterate how grateful I am to work with the people that I work with. Just
Yes.
a tremendous group of people that when I get an invitation and I post an event and they rearrange their schedules to come and support that group of people and they show up and they give their hearts and
Yeah.
I get to hear, I'm there giving Reiki to somebody and I hear on either side of me the comments and I see the hugs. And at the end of our, we normally do these 3 hour events. At the end of
Mhm.
3 hours, we've all just, our hearts are full and it's so wonderful. And I'm so blessed to have this group of people. I mean, I would not have obviously gotten very far by myself.
Yeah.
So it's so tremendous. I'm so grateful for each and every one of them.
Yeah, well, I hope that I don't know why in my mind it just flashed like you even popping into different cities to do training to help people understand. Because even people who are Reiki practitioners, to your point, like the online class that you have available, there would be a lot of different protocols and things that we would need to understand to show up in these environments to want to be of service. So, um, thank you for even providing information for people that want to know and won't have to go through all you went through just to learn and kind of figure it out.
But
Um,
also don't get frustrated.
yeah,
And going back to the social media channels, I mean, that's not just helping us get the word out. There's information there that you can share with your circle
mm,
to help explain what you do. If
right,
you're out there offering Reiki and your people are not quite understanding it, what's the value? That's a little bit silly. Oh, here's a picture of a bunch of police officers in Chicago getting Reiki and here's
right.
their feedback from it. That gives you credibility. So that's there for you to also benefit from and leverage to get your message out there to people and build your circles, receptivity to Reiki.
It's interesting to me when people look hindsight at their path, right? And I'm thinking how you said, you started in an advertising agency and how there must have been some skill set in there that has really helped you with how you've been able to develop this and this outreach that you're doing. So it's kind of like you never know with certain aspects of your journey, how they're going to feed into the bigger picture of what it is you do later.
Absolutely. That phrase, my whole life has led up to this moment. I
Yes.
absolutely, I mean, my brother was a cop. I have the advertising background in terms of marketing communications. I have that down cold. I don't know where the stick-to-itiveness came from, but I am like I mean, it's funny when people talk about their Reiki endeavors. A lot of times people will say things like, oh, it just flowed. I have
Yeah.
not found that so much. What has been a constant is my drive to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's a compulsion. I can't not do it. What am I going to do with my free time if I'm not out
Yeah.
making this, bigger and better and helping more people? I go on vacation. I'm like, oh, there's a children's home. We could go get the Reiki. The beach is over there. No, well, over here.
Well, it's so funny. I was thinking about, I actually wrote it down, like an interesting depiction of who you are. One, that you are a rugby player. Anyone who's never seen rugby, I mean, this is not like a soft, sweet sport, okay? That you are a rugby player, but then also, people may not know, you love bunnies and you have more than one, right? So here she is, this like collector of bunnies, and also
Bunnies. Well, let me
a rugby player.
full disclosure on this rugby thing. Okay. I'm an
Uh,
avid volleyball player and I met, and this was, whatever, 25, 26 years ago.
yeah.
After volleyball, we would go to the bar for, have a beer after
Yeah.
volleyball. And there were guys there playing pool and there were some women there too. And they recruited me to play on the women's rugby team
Uh-huh.
because I'm big, I'm 6 feet tall. And I went and I trained with them. It's such hard workouts. I've never played in a sport officially before, and
Yeah.
it was grueling. It was grueling, and I got in phenomenal shape, and it was really fun. And they're teaching me how to play the game, and then I got hurt, and I never got into an official game. And as soon as I was hurt, they just kind of kicked me off the pitch, and they were done with me, and it was that. So I never was a rugby player, and I have to be very honest about that because you're making me sound like such a badass.
No, but
I broke like a twig.
Heather, first of all, anybody who would have just said yes to that, if I were at a bar playing pool, which I love, side note, I love pool, and someone came and said, you should come play. No, you couldn't have even paid me to do it. Just at the potential of what happened to you, I would have thought that would have happened to me. So,
Well,
yeah,
I had that thought
yeah,
because some of the guys were pretty bandaged up.
yeah,
And I was like, I don't, that's not really for me. And the coach, the women's coach was there, it was my pool partner that
yeah.
day, said, yeah, it's a rough sport, but look around. Who's bigger than you? I was like, solid point. So
But I
I
think
went.
it still does say a lot too. I mean, especially with everything you shared, this is like this softness, this tenderness, obviously this love that you have. But at the same time, you were a tough cookie, honey. You kept knocking on those doors and showing up, and now look at what that has grown into.
I
I
think
mean,
it's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. I've had a lot of people tell me, I think, too, because of my resistance initially and because of my corporate background.
mhm,
Not so much anymore because more people have heard of it now. But when I started going out there and banging on doors and offering Reiki, people said things like, I don't believe this when other people talk about it, but for some reason, when you say it, it sounds legit, like the
yeah,
way that you frame it, the grounded way that you frame it. And I talk in terms of quantum physics,
mhm,
I pull a lot of things into the conversation, but um, I don't know. Again, all my whole life leading up to this is my work in the world. So
yeah. Well, thank goodness it's your work in the world. I mean, I was even in looking at your bio, I saw that, there was even a point where you were bringing awareness to sex trafficking within the massage industry. And I'm like, who is this woman? This, because there are lots of massage therapists, but not all of them necessarily would go, you know, become, advocates for what else is going on in the industry. And so it just seems like, I mean, we have a theme here with you, Heather. Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyone who's a massage therapist, and I'm guessing if your audience is, Reiki practitioners, you've got some massage therapists in the
Yes.
mix. We've all been propositioned. We've all had people make inappropriate comments. We've all been chuckled at, cocktail parties when people say, "What do you do?" When we're
Mm,
like, you know, giving of our heart and our soul in this healthcare industry, and people chuckle and make happy ending jokes. So
ah,
it's certainly, yeah, there was a reason that I did that.
whoa. Yep.
And the idea that the more jokes people are making about happy endings is normalizing the fact that massage is a front for sexual activity and therefore providing a front for sex trafficking. So just totally
Wow.
unacceptable and hitting very close to home for me.
Wait,
So
you are shining a light on a lot today. Yeah, never, I mean, well, I don't do massage, so never even crossed my mind that so many people would make those assumptions or even jokes and stereotypes about people in the industry.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you are doing incredible work. And I have to say, again, I'm so glad that I got to meet you through the summit and got to hear about this because it is very, very inspiring. And for everyone listening, be sure to go to Heather's website, which is reikibrigade.org. Follow her right now on Instagram at Reiki Brigade and share this work. I'm also going to include the links to everything that she shared with us, especially if you want to know or pass the information on to someone who, may be a great person to start this work in whatever area you may be in. So I have to say again, you know, going back to where we started with the Reiki Mastery Weekend, I always think it's invaluable, like you were mentioning before, that as practitioners, we never stop learning and
Hmm.
we can always go deeper into our practice and learn new techniques and just even new perspectives that help to broaden the way that we understand energy work, how we use it personally, and even how we're able to apply it to ourselves. So, just to remind you all again, we have the free intro to the event is on the 2nd of May. Do you happen to know what time that is?
Well, it's different times depending on where you are in the
Yeah.
country. I believe it's 5 o'clock Eastern time. It's
Okay.
evening, but double check.
Yeah.
You'll have the link, and certainly if people register or click on that, they can find out where it is, what time it is in their area.
Yes. And then for
Um,
the classes on Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th, those I believe begin at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 6 a.m. Pacific. And again, you want to come live because those classes won't be recorded. So,
and
yeah,
there's 3 sessions. So there's a session and then there's a break, and then there's another session and there's a break. So
right.
it's not. I think there
Like 90
potentially
minute.
an hour and a half,
Yeah.
yeah, each, but there's a break in between, go get something to eat, take a walk, whatever, come back. But it is going to be a lot of phenomenal experiential. And, I've been talking about how this is my calling, and we're going to have all of these exercises from these experts tapping into the Colleen and Robin Vanelli is
Yeah.
about finding your path in Reiki,
Yes.
get some intuitive guidance. We each have our own specific niche and
Yeah.
how Reiki is going to serve us and how we could potentially use it to serve other people. And that's a great way to find out where you fit in.
Yeah.
And just, nobody's in competition with anyone else
No.
because we all have our own unique way that we're approaching this and our unique way that we're using this and potentially serving others. And come to the Reiki Mastery Weekend and tap in and find out more
Yeah.
about your unique path.
Well, I think you're evidence of that, but also I think that's one of the really cool things about Reiki is it really can be complementary to just about everything. And so anything that you are passionate about and you think like, I don't know how Reiki would align with this, it surely will. You would just have to see how it aligns with you and what work you're doing in relation to what you may want to pair it with. Even down to, I'm thinking about, I know someone uses Reiki and the different techniques in the system to support them with writing. So
Yep.
they do Reiki on themselves first to move into a space of clarity, to come out of the chatter of the mind, to open up and like become a clear conduit for their own inspiration. So it really is, I don't, it's unbelievable the potential of how you could use this work.
To say nothing of what we all seem to think is an impending paradigm shift,
Yeah,
that we're here doing this work as preparation for humanity to level up our consciousness.
right.
So come be part of this. This is happening. And the more of us, the sooner we'll be hopefully elevating our consciousness and moving out of this, currently kind of scary situation.
Yeah, well, I have to, this is the last thing because I know I have to let you go. But speaking of that, from the time you started with energy work to where we are now, hasn't it been wild to see like how quickly Reiki has spread like wildfire globally? And I think that's even evidence too, and pointing to what you just said, because look at how much of a calling it seems to be for people, even if they don't fully understand why initially. But then go back to Heather's story and look, she didn't want to have any parts of it. And now look what she's doing. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting times that we're in.
Yeah. Yep. And just one last comment. I shunned it until my world fell apart. And then I
Yeah.
embraced it fully and everything changed for, in incredible ways.
Yeah.
And potentially we're having a collective dark night of the soul
Yeah.
here, urging people to wake up, be more receptive to, oh my gosh, help, help, help. Okay, I'll try this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Yes.
It may be because when everything's going well and everyone's, going to parties and going to football games, they don't want help and they're not looking for any support.
Right.
When things are bad, you will take support. And maybe this is the kick in the pants that we've needed to get us into that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And with that, I just want to say again, as we're ending, don't forget if you would like to support Heather and her work. And that's one thing about this community. This is like one of the most supportive communities I've ever heard of in my life. So even when you say about the beautiful people who come to help and volunteer to help you do Reiki for the officers, the veterans, the at-risk youth, everyone, this is such a supportive community. I literally just said it on a podcast the other day with Robin and Colleen, that I think a lot of people don't realize coming into Reiki that that's part of what you're stepping into is so much support. So, yeah, if you feel called to help Heather and these beautiful efforts, the link of how you can support and donate and share the message will be down in the show description as well. So thank you so much for taking time to come and chat with me today, my love. And then I will see you for the Reiki Mastery Weekend.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Yolanda, for all that you do for our community as well.
Yeah, thank you, my love. Yeah,
It's
and
been
thank
such a
you
pleasure.
for everyone coming to sit with us for this hour. We will see you all very soon. Okay, beautiful alchemist. I just want to thank Heather McCutcheon again for joining us today on Reiki Radio, sharing her incredible work. I really encourage you to go to her website to learn more about what she is doing out there in Chicago. Her website is reikibrigade.org. Don't forget, if you want more information about how to do this work in your community, she has resources there available for you. Also, if you want to support Heather in her efforts, what she's doing in this incredible work, there's a link down in the show description where you can learn different ways that you can help support the cause. Aside from that, please do follow her on social media at Reiki Brigade and share with people. The more, just like she said, the more that there is visibility around this, the more we normalize it, and the more that there will be an openness for us as Reiki practitioners to be able to support and serve first responders and other communities and at risk and in need. So yeah, so much you can learn just from her website, reikibrigade.org. And then, of course, we would love to see you at the Reiki Mastery Weekend. It is a virtual event and it is live. And don't forget, it is not recorded. So if you want to come learn from various Reiki teachers, you want to come to this event live, the free introduction takes place on May 2nd, which is a Friday. And then the actual 2 days of classes are May 3rd and May 4th, Saturday and Sunday. So to get your ticket, use the link down in the show description, and we look forward to seeing you there. So that is all for now, my beautiful loves. If you want to learn more about me and my work, be sure to go to theenergeticalchemist.com. I thank you all so much for being here. Thank you again to Heather, and remember to always journey in love.